The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. To the All Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. It is myself, Chris, your host tonight, alongside Decker and Mark. Bestie is feeling a little bit under the weather, so Bestie isn't with us. I think he's just grabbing that last couple of rays of sunshine like you two were trying to do, Mark.
100%. He's just jacked it off. He's seen the weather.
He's what?
Thought better of it.
Jacked it off, has he?
I knew that's what he was doing.
He was.
He's sitting outside in the sunshine with a cold one.
How's your bank holiday been so far? I know we're coming to an end of the bank holiday, but good weekend.
It has. The weather's been glorious, hasn't
Lush, hasn't it?
So, hey, you kind of complain at that.
I think the rest of the world is flooding, but we're all right at the minute.
Yeah. For once. A lot of rain in the Med.
All right, okay. A lot of rain in the Med. Hey, how's yours been, Decker?
I read. Well, the weekend I was just my daughter was in Alice in Wonderland, and I went and seen all 3 shows of that. So the entire weekend was seeing that show.
If you had a choice now, where you go see that show again, or go see Back to the Future again, which one would you see?
Back to the Future. Well, I'm wanting to take the bins again, actually, to see. So yeah, I will go again.
What was that character?
Oh, she was just on the ensemble. But my cousin was Alice, and she was absolutely amazing. So really well done. Well done, Evelyn. You don't watch, but you were brilliant.
Thanks, Evelyn.
I want to open this out to all the watchers and listeners this evening. This show, we're going to go with what you want to do. Obviously, we'll fill in throughout, but if you've got any questions, we'll just go through them as they come in, because this is the end of the season. We're all going to be recording the end of the season awards as well. I'll tell you now, boys, it might not be happening on Wednesday because I've done no prep whatsoever.
I was thinking that.
So you might have the night off on Wednesday. But it will be coming
the following week, though, so.
Let's do it next week.
We'll
There's
sort
rain
in the next 3 weeks or something.
All right,
okay.
Weather's too good this week to do it, man.
I know. But let's just jump straight in with the match at the weekend. Mark, a handful of changes from Eddie Howe. Changes which we're probably expecting.
I think there was still a couple of surprises in there, like.
Okay.
Target coming in was a bit of a surprise. I know people have been...
Oh, really? I never thought you would say that one.
Yeah, well, I guess you just expect to see Burn and go in there. And I know, like, there's a few games where people have said, "Oh, let's get Target back in," and obviously came in with, like, because I don't think anything had been said about Burn having any niggles or anything like that. I know he has played a lot of football, so it probably is nice to give him a rest. Midfield was where we were probably expecting the changes to happen anyway, with both the Joes out. So, but even up from that, he went a bit rogue because Longstaff was missing again. Which again, with him playing the last couple of games, you thought he would just be back in there, but it was done. So what's the point of risking anybody if they are, feeling anything at all? So
yeah, obviously we knew Pope wasn't going to be starting because of the surgery which he's had on a dislocated finger. Apparently he's dislocated his finger about 5-6 times this season in games.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just don't know, do you?
It's because he doesn't get many shots at him, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but it's I honestly never. When he was it was like the next year, wasn't it? After the Leicester game, he was like seen straight off, done, hand chopped off, and so
then he was kicking about Alec Gordon's.
Mm-hmm. He was, wasn't he?
Yeah. So apparently there's a comment in here from Stephen Patterson that says Burn has been playing with a dislocated shoulder, according to Colgan, hence the strapping which he constantly has on his arm. Never knew that, but it's a dislocated. Dislocated shoulder.
Well, he's prone to it, so he's had that strapping on like all season. Where if he gets like a heavy block on it, goes over on it, it can pop out, which is why he's always got that strapping on. I think even from when he was at Brighton, because we've seen it a few times. Like, remember when taking his shirt off and stuff like that? Swoon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's he's played a hell of a lot of football. He's probably, him and Joe Linton have probably played the most games alongside Pope, Barley's suspension probably, as well. So
I thought target playing was good to see. I
was a chance to get these lads a bit of a run out, wasn't it?
I appreciate, obviously, even in target said he's probably thinking, I'm playing a game that doesn't mean anything, But I thought it was good to see him out there. And I thought personally, when I seen the lineup, I thought it looked incredibly attack minded. I thought there was a lot of pace in there. A lot of pace, and I thought what could really cause them trouble. To be honest, that's how I felt. Because I know everyone's saying it didn't mean anything, and they're not going to maybe care as much. Well, how doesn't it set them up that way? How never would I accept that?
It was a bit of a nothing game in regards to no team had anything to play for apart from Newcastle could have finished third, and that was it really. Chelsea weren't getting in the top 10. They couldn't even do it with 3 points. I think they still ended up 6 points off top 10. Maybe even more, to be fair. And
did they have a striker playing? I'm not sure.
If Chelsea had a striker playing at all this season, I think that's been
the commentator never mentioned it at all during the game.
To be fair, I missed most of the game because I was at the show. If I'm being quite honest, so I didn't see all of it. I watched some of the highlights this morning, but most of the highlights I've seen seem to be Chelsea attacking. If I'm being honest, maybe they were more biased.
Second half,
it was very much a game of two. I think we definitely had the upper hand in the first half. Played well. We're creating a lot and stuff like that, and then second half their strength and depth, I think, showed with the changes that they were making and stuff like that. They still had a couple, like the young kid on the left hand side played most of the game and did all right.
Towards the end of the game, honestly, the chances they were missing, they missed about 3 decent chances.
Yeah,
and
Brocker put up a few good saves, didn't he?
He did.
I'd seen. Obviously, for us, of course, pleased that Gordon got on the score sheet, because I think he's been trying, hasn't he? Like, you can see on some of the more important games when he's had the opportunity and missed, just how much it's affecting him. You can see how annoyed he is with himself.
I apologise now, because this might sound as if we're going all over the shop and not going to any sort of direction with the podcast. But like I said, I am going to go through the questions. And just because you mentioned the deck, there is a question in, and I think I forgot to favourite it, but there was a question in, and a comment in regards to Anthony Gordon and how refreshing his interview was after the game. Where, have you listened to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, if people don't realise, I'm not sure who's interviewing, but somebody from Newcastle United's YouTube channel, and basically saying that it's been a difficult season for you, not just since arriving at St. James's Park, but before that as well. And he goes on to explain why it's been a difficult season, and I thought that was really refreshing. You don't normally hear that from professional footballers.
Honest.
Yeah, unbelievably honest.
I think sometimes some players are maybe scared of being honest, and also maybe coming across vulnerable. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, they don't want to maybe either make excuses or be honest, because they might feel that people will use that against them. Whereas I think most fans appreciate honesty, don't they? Like, if it isn't working well or hasn't worked well so far, just tell me why not, or why you think it hasn't worked well. You know, and I think everyone can appreciate that. You know what I mean?
I think the reception he's been getting from us as fans, and particularly on Sunday, because, like, literally, I think it was 90% of the game was just singing about Anthony Gordon, like that. The song, who everybody will know, it'll be stuck in your head. I cannot get it out of there. It's been in there literally for the last 28 hours, and I think that'll probably have played on his mind of when he's been asked to those questions, of that he feels really, really appreciated by the fans. Like, he has came in,
Kissing the badge,
to the club. That's what I was going to say. Like, that's a bold move, you know, like, coming in from there. And, you know, sometimes it is a little bit of lip service that you see it from players doing that. But
we got it from Bruno straight away as well. We got it from Bruno, right? And do you know what it's like? I get it with some of the foreign lads that'll do that, especially some like Bruno that's getting that appreciation on a weekly basis from the club. But for Gordon to do it as well, that's bold. That, like, obviously he's already burnt bridges in Liverpool anyway, so he's not going back there anytime soon. And we saw the celebration when we beat Everton as well, where he's doing that celebration as he's walking down the tunnel. But to kiss the badge for a club you've just signed at,
it's showing it.
It's bold, like I said.
It's showing a commitment, isn't it? And, like, I think, as you say, then going into his interview to talk about kind of how he's feeling and all of that kind of thing, how the season's gone. And I mean, he said a lot of things that we've sat here and talked about, of, like, around his fitness and stuff like that, and getting him into pre-season and getting him prepared for that. And
that was
how
telling
next
thing with
season
me.
will be a big difference for him.
The fitness thing, which he went on to say, saying that he was shocked when he came in because he was so far away from the lads that were currently there. That just, honestly, I know we see it on a weekly basis how fit these lads are and the engine that they have on them. But for a professional player to come from another club to then say he was miles off, is ridiculous, isn't it?
I think that shows you the standards of Everton in terms of
where Lampard would have been at the time, wouldn't it?
I probably would have been. Yeah.
Would have been.
I think that just shows you how them have struggled this season. But I agree with what you're saying. You would think, being in a Premier League team, you would expect them to come in and be fine, because I think that was one thing that when we're signing, mint, but he's been playing this season, so happy days, he'll come in and hit the ground running.
But it's not as if he was a player that when he was at Everton would stand still.
I agree.
He was very busy running around, covered a lot of ground, but so that's why I again probably shocked me a little bit more, because I would associate with him with doing a lot of running and putting that graft in while he was there. So
yeah. That's true. Like,
it's crazy when you think about it.
I think it goes back to what House said about Isak as well, isn't it?
That
he's fully fit to play for any other Premier League team, but not mine at the minute.
And Gordon goes on to say that he's got a huge summer ahead of him. Obviously, he wants to be in the starting 11 of this team next season, and he's got the England under 20s. Is it the Euros?
Yeah.
So he's got that tournament coming up, and he's saying that he's going to be ready to go at the start of next season. He's going to have a battle on his hand, like.
It's what you want to hear, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, that was again one of the shocks for me of him coming in and playing in the middle of the park. I thought he would probably start maybe out on the right instead of Miggy. Particularly had Longstaff have been fit, but obviously I think that's why he's then gone into the middle. But it just gave you a bit of flexibility with those in there as well, like, because Miggy can drop into the middle, he could drop out wide, he could go out into the left if Maxi came in inside. So
I think it's possible if you play a 3 in midfield like we do, that he might be able to get away with it in there. You could not play him in a 2 there. You couldn't play Bruno and Gordon centre midfield. But having a 3 in there, you can maybe be a little bit flexible in moments. Obviously, I know we would never start him there normally. It was just the way the cards fell, right? It was, we had nothing else, no other option. But I think this was a conversation that we've had the minute we signed him, wasn't it? Is that like, he ain't going to come here to sit on the bench, right? He wants to start. We've paid a lot of money for him. There's a lot of promise in there.
He's a young lad. He's got a point to prove.
But in that particular area, we have got options in that area, so it's exciting to see. Because obviously, of course, everyone knows if Maxi's fit, I'd love him to play. But I understand that may not happen. Some years Joe Linton's been playing out there, doing a great job. If Gordon comes back after a full pre-season, hits the ground running, he might start every single week. You don't know, but there's certainly competition for that side of the field. I do appreciate what Mark's saying. He could play the other side, but again, we've got competition that side as well, and competition is what we need. So
you've mentioned Maxi there, and this is a question from Liam Coates. Maxi did start the game, but he says, particularly for you, Degger, this one, he says, what do you make of Maxi's cryptic tweets? Is he away this summer?
No, I don't think so at all. But I must admit, when you read them, it can read that way. I can understand why someone would say that, because it's a lot about, I think the overriding message he's trying to get across here is don't forget the people that kept up, right? And I think it's a great point that he's making. There's a lot of times we only had him, in my opinion, and people have got short memories. And I think that's what he's trying to, having said that, the way it does sound is like, don't forget we're almost, but I know that may look like, well, my time's up. Don't forget as though I've tried my best for you. I don't think it's to leave necessarily. But, well, I hope not anyway, because, I've seen a few tweets saying, well, I'd move him on and I'd move him on. I've seen a few about Miggy, based on his performance on Sunday, saying this is why we should probably get rid of him. That's just like me head. I just feel like, just honest to God, like.
Do you know what it is? I don't, I don't think he's going, okay? And I'm the same as you, Dick, where you can read that message in 2 ways, really. He could read it as a goodbye message, but the way I read it is exactly the same as you, thinking maybe I've been getting a bit stick, but remember, I was the one that stuck around when
kept you up.
Yeah,
well, had a good hand.
I was the only half decent player that he's had.
Yeah.
And should he be coming out and saying that? Maybe not, because it's probably going to obviously piss a few people off.
Yeah, I don't think he's. Well, I know some people say it's just himself, but I do think he means like the collective of people as well, though. Like, not, I appreciate he's putting them out thinking of himself. Like, do you know what I mean? But because
it was a photo of himself.
I know, but I think collectively, though, we have to realize that there is players in that squad that have been there when we were shit, and it is easy to forget that. Do you know what I mean? I still say, like, he's had a very poor season in terms of his own standards, But I will say, when he has been on, certainly, well, it's a funny one because I was looking at moments that on
he
YouTube,
had that run just before his injury, didn't he?
He was
where
very
where
good.
he just started coming into a bit of form. What, three good games, I think.
Yeah,
I think-
getting assists as well. It wasn't just good moments in games; he also managing.
Do you know what it is? The issue with Maxi is, and I think that Chelsea game is a prime example. You see the best and the worst of him in one game. There's so many times where you think just do something different, and he didn't. But then there's moments in the game where he just puts the ball on a plate for players in the box as well.
That's 100% the side of his game that's improved a lot. I mean, even we're seeing it more and more and more. You think of Gordon's goal, like he gets the ball and he plays Anderson, who's pushed a lovely ball over. I mean, mind you, God almighty, Chelsea were horrific defending there. But I'm not so sure he would pass it down the line a year ago. Personally, I think he'd come in and try and have a shot, and then everyone would be pissed off. Go, he'd pass it out wide, and I get that, But the bottom line is he needs to stay fit. Listen, if he has the same season next season, I'll be on here going, this is probably time. Probably time for him to go. I'd never want to say that, but
I'm not sure about that.
Well, but if he's injured that much, though, do you know what I mean? You can't. You can't
carry him.
You can't carry him. You can't carry him.
And the thing is, we haven't been relying on him this season, and that's the issue. It's not like he's been playing back-to-back games like some of the lads have. Like Trippier had, Joe Linton has, Longstaff at one point. Dan Burn were mentioned. In fact, every single one of the defenders, it's successive games just in a row. I know Max is a different player where he's got that burst of speed, which he's going to pick up more injuries doing it. Of course he is. But we haven't been solely relying on him. So to still pick up injuries when you're not playing week in, week out is a worry to me. I
totally agree. Honestly, I totally agree.
Because we've seen the opposite with Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
Where he's had injury-stricken seasons. And yes, he's picked up maybe 1-2 this season, but where it's kept him out for a game or two. And I think one of those was an illness, not necessarily injury.
Most of it this season's been
and that's what I mean.
COVID-related, isn't it?
So when we're not relying on Wilson, we're seeing him feature more minutes because he's not sidelined for X amount of weeks.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between those two injury-prone players.
And I think they've managed him well with his, obviously, being aware of that. He perhaps can't train as intensively and stuff like that. And maybe he has to do more gym work and give him lighter duties in training and stuff like that to allow him to get through, because his body can't take that. And maybe there needs to be a bit of that. It could be things like, because we've seen with players in the past, particularly with those explosive pace and stuff like that, hamstring injuries, groin injuries and stuff like that, and they've had to change their entire lifestyle to kind of get around that. Go things like go bloody vegan and start doing yoga and Pilates and stuff like that to keep all of the muscles and ligaments all stretched out so that they're not.
Well, you could
causing
say
injuries that way.
You could also say, I'm not saying all of it has, but some of it in his own head that he's not feeling. I don't feel 100%. Okay, I know it's not nice. I know it's not serious.
Whoa!
People might not have picked that up, but as Declan was talking, Mark Schwartz just replied saying, "That's not nice." What happened there?
I've got absolutely no idea. Siri wasn't happy there, though, was she?
But I still like. It was a funny one. Probably people have seen it already, but on YouTube that the NUFC's put on all the goals, 60 odd goals or whatever it is. And it's on for about 40 minutes, and it's all the goals, all together type of thing. And there's so many goals that I'd even forgot about.
So many goals.
So many. And I was just almost emotional watching it back today. I was like, "How we are unreal!" Like some of the goals, Miggy was just from anyway. But there was certain moments where Maxi's bursting forward, and I'm thinking I really do miss that, and I still believe that, next season if he can stay fit, there's going to be. I think the thing is the expectations as well, isn't it? In terms of it'll be amazing for him to play like every single week, right? But if we could have, I still think that because of the amount of games we're going to be having, there is going to be moments where he will have, like Mark said, that little run he had there where I don't want him to be injured, of course, but he'll have run of games where he'll be unplayable, and there was that little run he had, but then he got injured. I remember the Man City at home game where he absolutely rinsed him, the goal against Wolves in the last minute, that volley, but then he got hurt again. He ran back and got hurt. He's out for 6 weeks. That's what we can't have. We can't have that amazing moment and then, you're not here for the next 10 weeks. That's just near good.
Particularly when we're going to be in 4 competitions.
Exactly, yeah. But going back to what you're saying, Chris, I think because we're going to be competing on all them fronts, hopefully there won't be the reliance of we need you to start every single week, because that doesn't have to be the case. We're playing, I don't know, someone away from home in Europe Maxi might be able to get at them massively away, but Gordon will start on Sunday against Arsenal. That's the hope. That's my hope, and that's why I'm going a long way around saying it. Like,
do you think if we're looking at next season, and like Mark said, and I'll come to you, Mark, we're playing 4 competitions next year. Obviously, we've got the 2 cups, we've got the Champions League, and obviously the Premier League campaign. Do you think that Eddie will probably go into this thinking, right, this is my starting 11 for the Premier League? Then looking at the other, well, obviously the other competitions, if we're looking at 2 cup games, you're going to see a rotation there. Do you think the European games and the Champions League will see a bit of a switch around?
I think he's done that anyway. Like, particularly in the last few weeks, more so with the front 3. You know, he's been picking and choosing different players depending on who you are playing, and getting them in because it suits them more or suits the style he wants to set up for the game. And going into having four separate competitions, you need that squad, and we're well aware of that when you look at potentially the strength and depth that we got, it's not there at the minute. Yes, the bench has been stronger in recent weeks because we've had everybody coming back from fitness and stuff like that. But then it only takes a couple of injuries. We've seen it obviously when Bruno was out.
Well, you're looking on Sunday. So there's 2 goalkeepers on the bench, the young lads on the bench.
We're down to the bones.
Yeah.
And the players that are going to be coming back from loans and stuff like that, you're not going to be seeing them coming into the first team squad. So you need a big clear out, which I'm sure we'll talk about in great detail in the summer as we go through it.
We'll be doing.
But it's going to be difficult.
It is, yeah. And I think under Howe as well, we've been so used to for years gone by, because this is the manager's ability, in my opinion, and maybe lack of quality in the squad. You could almost guarantee the starting lineup every single week, no matter what. You knew what was coming. Whereas I think this season, more than ever, there's been moments where we thought, "Oh, that's a strange one. I didn't expect." Remember, Lascelles playing away at Liverpool, man. I'm like, eh? And that's just one that's just popped in my head. But there's been many, many moments. I've went on Twitter and everyone's kicking off because it's just what they love to do. Why is Isaac not starting? Oh God, Wilson's starting, or vice versa, or whatever.
Even Murphy, like when Murphy first came in,
which was a shock.
And then all of a sudden he got dropped after he was playing fantastic. It's like, well, what's he done to deserve that? But
next season of all seasons that's when we're going to have to realise there is going to be huge changes week to week.
Yeah.
Because one could be tactically, one's fitness, one's also what Howe's maybe saying in training, going, actually, John, is he's maybe outperformed him and I'm going to give him a turn or whatever.
And down the opposition, who's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course it is. And that's where your squad really comes in.
Do you think we'll see the most flexibility and change in those wide positions, though?
Well, it's probably the most options we have, I think, as a team. Well, now, I mean, we're talking now, but by the end of the summer transfer window, we might have 10 centre midfielders. So we don't know what's going to happen.
It'd help.
It'll be nice.
We've got Jeff Hendrick back.
But, like, I would say out wide, you may see a mixture between Joelinton, Gordon, and Maxi every week. Do you know what I mean? Now, that again, what's very important, it doesn't mean because he's not starting. Like, Gordon might start the game, but Maxi could come on the last 20 minutes and absolutely tear it up, or vice versa. They might play Maxi, he's been terrible. Gordon comes on and makes a huge difference. That's the thing when you've got options off the bench, isn't it? Being able to really change a game if you need to. But I agree. I think in the wide areas is where we're perhaps, well, I think on one side more than the other, we're more blessed, I think. Because I would personally love a really, really top-end right winger. As good as much as I love Miggy and as well as Murphy has done, I'd love a real top.
So you mentioned Miggy before in the comments that you had seen on Twitter after his performance at the weekend, and it looked like we had the Miggy of all, didn't it, Mark?
You know, he played well, but it was his finishing that let him down, and that's the thing that we're used to seeing, because he got, I mean, what,
twice
great chances, and one he just tries to bend it in, and the other one, I don't know what he's trying to do, but it's the one that, you go back to January time, and he's putting them away for fun.
Everything he touched was going in the back of the net.
But I don't know, like, I mean, we've talked about him being a confidence player and stuff like that, but it's just, you just sometimes just need that little bit of luck, and it just wasn't with him. And we've seen it in a couple of games recently since he's came back in the team where he's played well, but his finishing's let him down, or he's been gone completely missing in the games and stuff like that. So
I will say, and again, I'm watching them goals on the. I mean, it's every game. It's him. You know, absolutely from every.
He's having goal of the season competition with himself
every week. The Fulham away one. There was one against.
He's still my goal of the season.
Yeah, the one against Everton. Oh my God, I forgot about him. It was unbelievable. Top bin. One of my favourites was Spurs away, where he just absolutely blitzes past the fullback. takes a touch, and it's similar to what we always seen. We're seeing it in pre-season, going back to last season. We kept seeing it, but I still say that patch that we got, we all had to realize, like, oh, it's not really him. I mean, this is 2.0 Miggy. Like, we're not going to get this because he'd be Messi if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of do that every single game. But going back to the point I was trying to make is like, you kind of, I appreciate he didn't have a great game, but people are like, oh, we'll sell him. Well, who are you going to get that's going to come in? That's going to, it's just ridiculous. Like, again, I'm not saying Almiron's going to be the starter for the 3 years time, because we might sign someone better, but I would love to have Almiron to come off the bench. Do you know what I mean? Maybe. If
he's your second choice right winger, you've got somebody decent in front of him.
That's the point I'm meaning. Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's all you want to be. You'll look at those first team 11 positions and think, right, who's in them now? Can we get somebody better that's going to improve with? If we can, great. That's what they do. They go in there, and then it strengthens your bench. It strengthens your options to come in when we do need to use the squad, and that's what it's about. It's going to take time to do it. People, you know, expecting with a splash millions in the summer and bring in 6-7 players. It ain't going to happen. Absolutely isn't going to happen.
It's going to be. I'm telling you, this summer could be hell. Like,
so
well, just on Twitter, I mean, like, in terms of fans reaction.
Just because we're on the topic as well, and I'm pretty sure we do have a question in regards to this one. I might be lying. Yeah, I might be lying, but we'll go with it anyway. Oh no, we do. So this one is from NUFC UK, and he says, "How many players do you think we'll sign first team squad?"
3.
I'm with you. I think 3, but I think it'll be 3 Botman Bruno-esque players. That not marquee
players.
So not players that obviously the household names, like world-class players that have already had at the top elite point of the career. I think we'll look for those sort of caliber players.
Hidden gems.
Exactly that, yeah.
If they can come in and have the impact that those 2 players you've just mentioned, even Isak as well. You know, there isn't a huge amount of people that knew what he was all about, but they certainly do now. So it's that kind of, you know, people that are doing it in the continental leagues, going under the radar. They've got that potential to improve and go on and, you know, have a good career is what you want to attract. I'd still love to sign somebody that maybe is a little bit older, maybe towards the twilight of their career, but has got that real experience that can come in and just, you know, like Trippier's done last season. He's at the back end, but you just look at the impact that he's had on the pitch, off the pitch, raising up the standards. Casemiro went to Man United and did it. They were lost. Yeah. He went into there and he's dragged them from nowhere.
Which helped that Ronaldo left as well, mate.
So I would love to see Ronaldo back, but yeah, I think probably three, maybe 4, but I don't think it's going to be this, you know, this revolutionary, like signing 10 players and that. You know, it's just not.
Can't do it.
It's just not going to be. No.
You can't do it, and I think Eddie Howe's already came out and said that. Obviously, we've got to work on the financial fair play. We know that, but bringing in too many players is going to ruin the likes of the chemistry and the dynamics that these lads have anyway in the dressing room.
It definitely is, because Dan Burns said that, didn't he, as well? He mentioned, like, he knows there's going to be changes coming and he'll be devastated because of how close this team is. And Eddie Howe has also referenced that these players deserve the chance. You know, they've delivered, and they've deserved this opportunity. Now, obviously, of course, that's romantic talking. The other managers will be like, "Listen, I'm cutthroat." You know, at the end of the day, I always remember Keegan doing that, where he got rid of, you know, Peacock.
Yeah, Cole went, Kelly went,
and we're like, Kelly, he got rid of him, and very, very cutthroat because he needed to push on. Whereas Howe's coming out saying, "No, I believe in these group of players and they deserve the opportunity." I do agree, though, and I'm in this sense where, you remember in Rafa when we had this team that we had, and we always kept saying we're probably 2 or 3 players away from being really good. That's what we felt like at the time. I do feel that now. I feel if we keep that squad and add 3 players to it, we'll be great. Like, that's how I feel. I really do. Of course, it would be amazing if we could get more than that, because I'm always worried about the extra games and injuries. That's of course, but what club doesn't have that?
Yeah,
Man City?
And do you know what it is?
The same thing.
Like, we're talking about bringing 3 in. I think when we're saying 3, it'll be 3 half decent players. Well, better than half decent. Sorry, be players with potential, and that are already rated in regards to European football. What you said, but obviously not there yet. I think the issue that we're going to have so many lads leaving as well that are out of contract. and I know a lot of these lads have been on loan anyway. So like Hendrick, Hayden. Is Clark still on with Books?
I think he's technically was on loan, yeah.
Then
Darlow's gone to Hull on loan as
you've
well.
got Gillespie, Darlow, Carrius. That's obviously contract right now. There's a lot of bodies.
Richie's contract comes to an end. Dummett's contract comes to an end.
There's a lot of bodies
Longstaff,
leaving
Matty.
the club, so you're gonna have to get some in to fill those seats as well.
Yeah, well, I think what's going to be interesting is the ones that we really are saying fringe, like fringe squad. Does he keep them all maybe on a 1-year deal and keep them? Not all of them, sorry. But Dummett's obviously one of them, I've said, yeah.
He's already said on Friday, didn't he, that he wants to keep Richie and Dummett, offer them new contracts.
What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, my goodness me. Dummett, I cannot believe it.
Do you know what it is,
No
right?
offense,
like, everybody knows my opinion, right?
Loves him.
But
favorite player.
I get the point where they say, no, he's good to have around the dressing room and the squad. It's an expensive cheerleader, that like.
I agree. Richie,
You've just got to look at Man City and Scott Carson. Every club needs it.
Well, we've got two, apparently. Got Richie and Dummett.
I think we've got more than two.
I actually think
Gillespie's another one.
Exactly.
I would give Richie another year though. I honestly would if he wants it though. I would. I've Richie I reckon's influential behind the scenes. I appreciate in terms of top level he's probably done but if you're giving us an option here, if they're going to keep both because that's what they've said, Richie and maybe I could get behind, but Dummett I can't.
I've got a couple of mates that sit literally right next to the dugout, to the first seats, and now they've actually got there's like three or four rows of three where the players sit as well in the stand, just next to the dugout. And Monday night, Matt Ritchie was sat in them seats, and both of them said he literally kicked every single ball. He was all over, encouraging the players, shouting at them, applauding them for every tackle they were putting in, every throw in that they were doing, encouraging. He literally, by the end of the match, he had no voice left because he'd been shouting on that much, and that just shows you how much passion that bloke's got. And
we know that you see that around that. Pit. We just know you know that's what he's like, don't you? And that's why we've loved him in the first place, right? Like I know I had great moments for when he was a huge part of getting open all the rest of that story, but that's why I honestly would give him another year because I still think he'll come on and give 100% if we really needed him to.
Yeah, he's had a couple of 4 appearances this season.
Makes a great point. Yeah, he says Matt Ritchie is also working on his coaching badges with Newcastle. I wouldn't be shocked to see him have another season, as this cheerleader, as we'll put it, that can obviously make appearances and die moments of a game, but then move in the season after straight into a coaching role.
Absolutely brilliant.
I'd love to see it because I absolutely love Matt Ritchie, but I think he's made no secret of the fact that he wants to finish his playing career back at Portsmouth, where it started. So I don't know if he'd. I guess it depends what we offer him from a coaching point of view and stuff.
I think
with
with Dummett, obviously Dummett fits in the homegrown quarter that you have. Was it 4 players?
Sick of hearing that one.
I know.
Everyone seems to use that as if that's the card. That's my trump card I've got. Fuck off. There's got to be someone else there. There has to be. It has to just.
Well, that's why Gillespie's there as well, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, but when you look around the first team, you've got Anderson and Longstaff that are straight into that category.
Yeah, there's 2 category. Yeah. It's gory, Harry. We're dominant it.
And then you've got that's it. Then you're looking at the likes of Dummett. You're looking at Gillespie, and then you're into the under 23s. Which is why Matty Longstaff might even. I mean, to be fair, I think with Matty Longstaff, I think they will give him a contract just because of his injury. Because imagine kicking him out onto the scrap heap with the injury that he's got.
Can I be sentimental here?
You've got to look after your own. Give him a 1-year contract. Let him see how he does with his fitness and injury, whether he can get himself back, and then you go from there.
Never, ever be good enough. I don't think.
Next question. In fact, we'll come to Josh. Thanks, Josh. Josh has sent in another donation. Thank you very much, Josh.
Of the squad.
And I think we'll I think we'll have to give a special shout out to Josh in our end of season awards as well. He says, "Hi lads, hope you are well. What a season! I still can't believe we finished in the top 4." His question is, who do you all hope we get in our group? He wants Dortmund.
I'd like that.
And he also says, thanks for all the podcasts this season. I've loved them. Thanks very much. And thanks for joining us right the way through.
I literally want the 3 worst teams in all of the pot.
No.
Give us the worst 3 teams.
You want at least one.
No, I don't.
Do you
Absolutely do not. I want the 3 worst so that I can get through.
No.
I want to win it.
Nah, give us all. Give us them all. Give us them all.
Okay,
I want the best you've got to offer.
Let's have them
do it.
all and go
Let's
out
do
first round.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Nah, I don't want to be playing bloody. I don't know. I'm trying to think of
Shakhtar
bad teams.
Donetsk.
Well, listen, you. I think it's how the pots work. I was looking on the. I had the picture on my phone. I wish I'd have saved it actually. To understand who we possibly would get or what pot we would go in, but I know Dortmund was there, wasn't there? I think Inter Milan was also. I seen one.
Milan, Lazio,
Napoli. Honestly, those are
that's the thing.
a few of the big ones.
The problem is there's still a lot of qualifying to do as well. So there's forecasted teams to go in there, but there's no guarantee that they will. But
I think there's a chance. I think when we get 2 good teams and 1 poor one, that's how I think
you probably
will.
will.
2 stronger teams and then maybe one that's really poor.
On the face of it, whichever group we end up in, we're going to be the worst team in there from a rankings point of view.
Yeah.
Because of the pot. But in the real likeliness, we're not. We're going to be a decent seed in there.
Hope so, man.
The opposition will be viewing Newcastle though, because it's been a hell of a long time since we've been in this competition. Let's remember, most teams are in the Champions League. They're in it every single year. Obviously, you'll get a couple of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? A couple of random teams in there, and probably arguably Newcastle is that one this season from the English league.
I think teams will, honestly, whether we like it or not, teams will look at us as their opportunity to pick up their points. They're going to.
I hope so, because that means they're underestimating.
No, well, they will, but they will. It's like us. I've just said there, we'll get 2 good teams and 1 shit one. I'm telling you now, somewhere over Poland or whatever, they're going to say the same about us. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get it, they just will. And I'm not saying that is obviously the wrong attitude to have. Of course it is. But they're going to look at Barcelona. They'd rather have us than Barcelona. Just that's the way life is, and they'll think that. Now, obviously, of course, they're scouting and they'll go, fuck no, they're a different kettle of fish than what you may be expecting. But there'll be teams out there who'll be looking at us if we're going to be the weak link of the group,
Do you think, and do you know what, his fitness has worked massively for us in the Premier League, Mark? It's going to have a huge impact in the European games as well.
Oh, yeah. Especially with, I'm going to generalize here, but a lot of continental football is a lot slower, more time on the ball, a bit more technical and stuff like that. Whereas with the intensity that we play with, closing people down, we'll shock a few people because they'll not be expecting to be pressed so much on the ball and things like that.
With that is this season, I think we've struggled at times to get past teams that are happy just to sit back with the ball.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in European football, because you will come against teams that are happy just to pass the ball around. And I'm talking about decent teams as well, but they'll get that one chance and they'll score it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be our issue.
It could be.
Taking control of a game, that'll probably be our issue.
But you would expect a lot of these teams that, yes, they might have a lot of the ball and try and keep a hold of the possession, but particularly when they're playing at home, they're going to want to try and win the game. Whereas where we've struggled is where teams have literally just put 10 players behind the ball.
Yeah.
Leicester is the most recent one where they just chucked the 11 and the bench behind the ball to try and
nothing Matt
keep
Richard
it
was
out.
there.
So
dumb it was.
But it's that again, because you're going into that league and people have got to qualify and get out of it, they've got to take more risks. So they've got to try and get results within there. And I think, like you say, from a glamour point of view, and of like the ties of wanting to go to these places and stuff like this, of course you want to get some of the big names and go to Milan, go to Barcelona, Real, those kind of clubs. But I'd much rather just have a piss easy draw and get through.
Why though? Why?
Because I want to win it.
But you've got to play these teams eventually, though.
I'll play them eventually then.
So
why do we need to play them at the start?
So you get past the first group and then get knocked out the next one?
We won't. It didn't work that way in the cup final.
Do you know what it is? I don't mean you would think I aren't massive fans of international football as such, but when you look at England games in the groups, do you want the best teams in the group?
No, you want the worst.
No, I do. I do want the worst. Then,
and that's what it's about. It's knockout football. It's about qualifying.
But I don't know. It's because we're in the competition. I want to test myself again. I don't want to play the shit ones. part of me worry. I'll be really honest here. Actually, part of me worries if we play the shit ones and still get knocked out. How bad would that be? Do you know what I mean? Like, bloody hell,
I'll give you that.
I
I'll
haven't
give you
even
that.
tasted the.
I'll give you
romance
that.
of it.
You want at least one of the big
Yeah.
lads in there, like, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's a funny one, right? I've started because I'm really sad, as you know, because I love like the behind the scenes documentary stuff and all that. And I've went back and started watching all of the All or Nothings from the very start, like in order. So I'm on the Man City one at the minute. I've just started again. Just a background noise when I'm graphing. And Pep's talking about Champions League, and he goes on to say like he thinks the Champions there's not an easy game the Champions League away from home. And he says in this particular season that they're talking about, Man City didn't win a game in the Champions League away from home. I was like, fuck no. But my mindset is different, and I'm obviously Pep's a lot more clever than I am. I really feel away from home is when we could really hurt teams, with our pace. Like I just have a feeling that, because I agree with you,
Counter-attacking.
their attitude is we're going to have to come at these because we're at home. And I think, oh God, I honestly think we could obliterate teams on the break. Like, so you know, I just think it's going to be.
As if in this conversation.
I know. It's just still a bit mad. Like,
do you know what? Right, I wish. We normally do this. We've done it a couple of times. We would do with envelopes.
Yeah.
And at the start of the season, like people that are new to the channel, we do envelopes and we'll write in where do you think Newcastle will finish, top goal scorer, underrated player, those sort of things. Imagine.
I might have got top goal scorer, all right?
Cup final in it.
I certainly wouldn't have got second and third, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is why, you know, and I know people have said like, oh, this is just the beginning and we've got so much more to follow. I really think we need to almost, you know, like a time capsule with this season, you know, like, because
do you want to bottle it, don't you?
You do, like it's such an unbelievable achievement what we've done, you know, and you almost really, you don't want to, I know we're talking about moving forward and looking at who we're going to buy, but we really need to really understand and take this moment in of just how amazing it's been.
So we saw at the Leicester game, and once again the Sky cameras were in the changing room, along with the Amazon cameras, and they picked up Trippier going up to one of the Amazon lads saying, you picked a good season to do this. What are your thoughts on that documentary now? Because I'll be honest, I'm not giving too much away. I've been speaking to a couple of people that have seen things happening behind the scenes, and it doesn't sound as good as what we think it might be.
Well, I wasn't as excited because of when I realized what it was, like in terms of.
So this is what I've heard. They've changed the structure of it quite a few times. First time they wanted to be football side, but Eddie Howe stopped that straight away, which you can imagine doing. The next time was the commercial aspect, which apparently hasn't gone to plan either. And I'm not saying that that's anything bad from the club or anything like that. Just maybe there wasn't enough content there. And now they've gone down the route of the fans. So apparently, as it stands now, it's going to be focused a lot on the fans of the football club.
Which that would make sense because we see the cameras all the time, don't we?
And it makes sense the email which we got the other day.
Yeah. And also outside, I've noticed the last two games they've been outside the ground before and after the game as well, getting footage in and around the stadium.
So I don't think anybody really knows what is happening and what it's supposed to be portraying. Obviously, he's not going to put the club in a bad light. It's just which direction they're trying to take it.
But it's doing that exactly what you're just saying, though, isn't it? It's then focusing on the stadium and viewing it from a fan's point of view of how amazing it's been. I mean, about you, like saying there about just soaking it all in. That's exactly what I did on Monday night. Like you left. I just stood there. I was by myself. Well, I wasn't by myself because I wasn't the only one there. But I just stood there for ages after full time and just soaked it up. Watched the players. The players were still having a great time on the pitch. For half an hour, 45 minutes after the game. You two were sat here doing a podcast. I was still in the ground because I was just soaking it up and just. Because it's those moments that stick with you, and like looking back, it'll be like of what that season was like, and I'll think back to that moment of just, and you could even see it in the players that didn't want to leave the pitch, that wanted to be out there with the families and just enjoy it.
I think what we will get from the Amazon thing now is probably a bit of everything. I think it's going to be a mixture of everything now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being arsey here at all. I'm not. I like, obviously, I've watched them all, right? And I'm not really interested. When the fans come on, like a Leeds fan was on there. They're in his house every 5 minutes talking about Leeds. I don't care about you, mate. No offense to you.
Yeah.
Probably a lovely bloke, but I didn't care. I want to know what Bielsa's doing behind the scenes. I want to understand tactically. I want to see the
You
players.
don't care about these pissing podcasts, do you, Dicker?
Nah, not at all.
Sod them.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate you've got to have them in moments because you've got to understand what the fans'
point of view
is, and I get that. But I wouldn't want a documentary just based on us. You know what I mean?
If you think
I wouldn't want that personally.
I think if the one that we had in the championship season, We Are the Mags, that one.
Yeah.
That was all from a fan's point of view.
Yeah, it was.
And it was excellent.
Yeah, I know. But I think what I'm trying to say is because I've watched. Oh, I'm holding this wire. Because I've watched it all or nothings. Like I've seen them. I absolutely love to understand what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, Christ, how much do we enjoy watching the match cam? You know, just players walking into the stadium, man. Players are just walking in, waving, and everyone's loving them. That's all. You know what I mean?
Just
like,
players waving and going, "Vamos!"
That's all they're doing. Morning, and everyone's like, "That's the best." You know what I mean? Because and I love that type of stuff. I can't deny that. You know, like I remember when literally I had a semi on just watching Gordon in that new cafe. You know, when Gordon turned up, we've got a new restaurant.
It's got Ivy on the ceiling.
I know, yeah. It's like, and I just love that.
What did you think of Joe Willock's singing?
Well, you know, but on the Gordon one, where like he's sitting at the table and I can't remember his name. I apologize.
It's like a welcome pack that they've got on the telly.
Yeah, the laptop one. I was saying, I want to know what's in that. I love seeing that. That's what I want to see. That's the stuff I want to see.
It's all the best behind the scenes stuff that you're in.
Yes. Yeah. So, and well, let's be fair, right? It's going to have some of that in. Of course it is. Of course it is. But that's what I love from a documentary. Not necessarily. Well, no, I don't want to offend anyone. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Yeah.
Jules has said maybe you lads should do a show where you just go live, just wave and roll the credits. Do you know what I'm going to start doing every week before we go live? Right, I'll just record these two walking up the corridor to the room.
I'm going to carry a little boot bag in that.
We'll just do that every week from now on. Let's go through a couple of more questions here. This one is
you'll have to cut to a shot of Wall sat in here looking at watches, waiting for Bestie to turn up.
This one is from Dan that says highlights of the season, lads. Personal favorite for me, so he's talking for himself, this is me. He says personal favorite was Willock's goal for Chelsea and the scrap after the game. I'll put my cards on the table now. One of my favorite moments was Isaac's run down the left-hand side.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I think at that point, I thought, Jesus Christ, he is good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he'd done it down the right-hand side a few weeks earlier, hadn't he? When he came on it in the cup game, wasn't it?
I think at that moment, I just thought, Jesus, we do have a player on our hands here. Like,
for me, in terms of a moment, I'll say Trippier's free kick against Man City. In that moment, when 3-1 up, what a free kick that was as well. I remember the atmosphere was just, and I just felt in that game, I came away, and it didn't end the way that we expected because we were 3-1 up and we threw it away in a way, but we had went toe to toe with the best, as the best that they can offer, that for the game can offer you. Man City, Haaland was playing, and all the rest of it
controlled a lot of it,
and we gave them a real good run, like, and we're 3-1 up at one point. And I thought that was for me was just an unbelievable moment. When we were 3-1 up in that moment, Trippier just scored. It's like it doesn't get much better than this.
Mark, I think I might know yours.
Go on,
Spurs game.
That would be
because
certainly
the
be
noise
one of
was
them.
coming out of you in that first 10 minutes.
That was just between me and you.
Like, every 30
Marvin,
seconds,
he's getting like, you know, when Marvin's getting electrocuted.
100%. That's up there. Like things like that just don't happen in football.
We were 5-0 up in 22 minutes, was it?
Insane, you know.
It's
Insane.
mental, absolutely mental to do it. And then
I kept thinking that in the Leicester game, you know, it was 0-0 for so long. I was going, well, 5-0 up by now. You know, I kept thinking, like, how did we score 5 goals and we're taking 4 days here to try and break these down?
And you wouldn't have been shocked about scoring another 5 before half time.
Even from that game, that the Pope save right at the end, that's one of the defining moments of the season, because if that goes in, you know, that's us then, you know, potentially not qualifying for the Champions League.
Would you say Spurs that being 5-0 up in that space of time, is that your moment of the season for yourself?
I think honestly speaking, I think it's probably the full time whistle once we'd qualified for the cup final.
Yeah.
I think that is the
good show, yeah.
the moment, because it was just so special to
Yeah.
think that we'd got back there. Likewise, when we did it qualified for the Champions League, that was an incredible feeling. There's so many this season.
I think
To
that
try
cup
and
game's
pick
up
one,
there
you
with me,
just
like, the cup game has to be up there
Yeah.
because we dominated that game.
Absolutely.
We did. Was it 2-0 that game? Did it end in?
Against Leicester.
Yeah.
It was 2-0,
Dan Burn
wasn't
scored
it?
as well.
It was
didn't he?
Burn and Longstaff.
Oh no, I apologise. No, sorry.
no,
it was
that
the
was
game before.
before that.
Sorry,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Longstaff scored 2, didn't he?
Southampton, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure
Longstaff got
both.
2.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. It was mint as well
Because he had been on that patch because he had just done the interview with Shearer, I think it was, the week before, and Shearer was saying, like, just hit it.
Yeah,
just
Like, stop trying to aim,
and
just hit it.
Yeah, and he did. Yeah,
Then obviously he comes out and grabs a brace.
yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, Dan Burn was the game before that, wasn't it? Sorry.
that was a lovely moment as well.
It was
2-1.
lovely. It was lovely.
To the game.
2-1. Yeah. I know, amazing, absolutely amazing. But there's been so many good moments, hasn't there? And we haven't had this type of season where normally you'd have one moment, probably where you should just have maybe one or two.
And do you know what it is? There'll be people commenting here, but honestly, there'll be so many that we forgot.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's
so
like
many.
like Decker was saying of just the putting all those goals together from there's so many goals watching back completely forgotten about.
100%.
Like we're scoring and how good they were and stuff like that.
The two opening goals against Forest, Shays from about
That
100 yards.
that seems like a million years ago. That first game,
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like this season.
it's mad.
Totally agree. Wilson's like, that didn't happen this season. That wasn't this season. Like, it's just so long ago. As you said, the World Cup obviously stretched it, but yeah.
Who
I
would have
don't know-
thought Forest would have dragged themselves out of that bottom three
I
as
know.
well?
Yeah.
There's a
I
story.
don't know if this is a question in there. I don't want to spoil because I know I've got a season thingy, but I'll ask it anyway. What was the moment in the season where you thought top 4 would get it? Like, what was that moment to find?
I think it might be Man U for me. Man U at home. Because we dominated them.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant.
I can remember sitting here and looking at our fixtures and how many points we needed, and saying to you lot, where we're going to get all these points from.
Is that when I was just going, win that one, win that one?
We got like,
You are right.
and to be fair, we almost did.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I think what was
It's
it,
just-
where we're going to get 6 points from out of those teams. And
Well, I think it was a bit more than 6 points. Like,
But I think we
I
had
think
like,
we won them all.
I think we did. It was like West Ham 5. He was like, tough West Ham in our 5. It was just hammering everybody.
but it's them games where I mean,
Right.
West Ham, we were terrible in all honesty, but we got the results, so it just everything was going for it, and it just clicked. And it's during that run that I started to think, hang on, this might actually happen.
The first time I got the feeling, the tingle, was Chelsea at home. And that was it. That was early on because it went on national break. I'm sure because that was we played on a Saturday night, wasn't it? And it was like 5:30. So,
Yeah.
live on Sky and all the rest of it. And we won that game, and it was only 1-0. It was a tight game as well. And I thought, that was a huge. I know Chelsea, right? Obviously, on what we all know what happened with Chelsea, and they weren't doing great even then. But that result to me was a big one, and I started getting the tingles and thinking, there's a chance here. But then Man United at home was the one for me where I thought, we're going to do it. We're good enough to do it. And I think probably a lot of people might say Spurs because it was 4th against 5th and we're absolutely obliterated them. And that's probably the moment where you think, we've just absolutely battered the only thought we had that was a rival at that time for that position. So
That's it. Them games around next. Brentford away, with going into that, it's a tough game.
it is tough, yeah.
We know what happened in there, and
But we're the best, so it's good. It's fine.
Do you know what?
surreal, isn't it?
Do you know
Absolutely
what
surreal.
I've loved seeing this week is
The champions, the champions.
seeing the videos back from that game at Anfield
Oh yeah, when they were booing,
when
and
they're
stuff.
booing the
Yeah,
lads
yeah,
off the
yeah.
field.
Yeah, yeah.
Say, you just got what you deserved. Blah blah blah. Fuck.
They haven't
Fuck
taken it
yous.
well, have they?
Nah. Did you see one kid wants a playoff thing now
Oh,
for the
yeah.
Champions League? The
Aye,
Irish
he's a wanker. Yeah.
one.
Yeah, yeah. He's saying that he wants to play off from
Aye.
4th to 7th and stuff like that. Yeah. Of course you do, I know, mate.
Plays
Um,
out the prom.
What I do want to, in fact, no, but we'll be mentioning likes of favorite goals as well. Okay, but everybody's going to be involved in the likes of the season awards, and it's pretty going down like to a voting thing. What's your goals of the season, Mark? I've got mine. I'll go mine first. Maxi's v Wolves.
That's unbelievable.
Aye.
It is unbelievable. Like,
It's a Miggy goal.
Fulham.
yeah, Fulham. Yeah, yeah. It's probably mine as well. That probably.
There's been loads.
You could literally choose 4 or 5 of Miggy's goals, though.
I love the one against Everton. Like, that's just it's unbelievable. That.
Wilson against Brentford. That was Lovely the way he curls that in the top corner as well.
Isn't Isaac's?
Murphy's
Murphy's
raker.
one.
Oh,
Oh, Murphy's shot it.
Murphy's
Aye,
raker.
Murphy's.
That was a beaut as well. That's something. There's like, honestly, you could have 5 or 6 up there.
Yeah, probably got to be that Fulham one, though, wasn't it? That's some goal, like that Fulham one against Fulham. I mean, obviously, because you could put him in that position 100 times again, and you not score that. Like,
I'm sure that didn't even win goal of the month. You know?
No, it definitely did.
It must have done.
I think he's other one. He was rivaling himself really for that month. I think, but that definitely won that. Had to, man. Had to.
Fabian Shaw's one that got disallowed. Who was that against?
Everton,
Was it Everton?
Everton away, yeah. He scored a screamer against Forest first game.
Yeah, it was.
See, them balls he was pinging yesterday.
Oh,
from like basically right back
Every
to
single
Maxi
time.
into the far
it was
corner.
constant, wasn't it? I know.
Every time.
Every time, yeah. Yeah, it was every time, yeah.
I love Fabian, you know.
I do as
Absolutely
well,
love him.
He's had a hell of a season.
So underrated.
Unbelievable season.
Brilliant.
This one is from Andrew Grange, who sends in a donation, £5 donation. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
He says, cheers for the videos this season, lads. Fans this season have been amazing. Have a good summer. Can't wait for next season. We're not disappearing, mate. So we'll be here throughout the summer, and we'll be sitting down in the next week trying to come up with more ideas of what we can do as well. We've got a bit of space to fill.
Are you excited for the kit coming out?
Do you know what it is? I've started to appreciate the kits more now, and I'm not sure if this is just because obviously the club's had a bit of a turnaround. But when kit announcements, I used to think, like, not like awesome, I'm not going to buy it anyway. But I'm quite excited these days to see what we'll do.
Yeah,
I always look forward to them. Like, I always want to see what the kit is.
I don't want to even buy a pre-printed one because I want to physically be there when they stamp the badge on the sleeve for us, the Champions League badge. I just want to see it with my own eyes, like.
Good job.
I'm always making sing that as well. Yeah. Unbelievable! Like I actually cannot wait for that moment because I'm buying it immediately. Second, I didn't care what it looks like. Didn't care how ugly it is. I
Did you
didn't
go
care.
for the home kit or the away kit?
All
Champions League.
No,
All three.
Do you want Adam P? Get 5 of each.
I'll probably well, definitely the home one. I think it's going to be interesting, depending on obviously the sponsor. We'll kind of know what it's going to be. What it's kind
we're still doing like
if it's
I
them.
think that's done. That like
If it's them, there's a chance it'll be what I've wanted, just a black and white one. Do you know what I mean? Like a black border with that white or something like that.
It might
That's
be.
what I want. Like a McEwen's lager, gives the square. Didn't put McEwen's lager in the middle. Obviously, you can if you want.
I wonder if, like, if you peeled it off, there would be like a gold sponsor underneath it.
But it'll be amazing. Like to have the badge on the side. Oh my God.
JNFC UK said deck out with the loudspeaker on the employee's face when they put the badge on.
100%,
The megaphone in their head.
How funny was that? Getting off the train yesterday, all the fans,
megaphone.
the megaphone
class.
playing the theme tune.
There's been a couple of comments about the smelly fish. Yes, the smelly fish challenge will be
No,
happening throughout the
You're
summer.
doing
Absolutely
that.
not.
I'm not doing it.
We're all doing it.
We're
We're
not.
not.
We're
We're
all doing
agreed.
I'm
We're
ill.
all doing it.
Sorry, I'm off that week.
We will be doing it. It's content, man. It'll be fucking.
I'll be
again. Well, fish. What's it?
Strog something.
No, that's a beat
That's a
lager,
beer,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
We'll have that.
I'll have that. I'll turn up for that.
Stroll.
Strauss something. I don't know what it's called.
Dirty, stinking,
But we
fermented
will
fish.
be doing the fish challenge. Anything that you want to add?
I was devastated having to stay up. That's about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That,
agree.
that was me ruining the season. No, I'm joking. It wasn't that bad. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed.
100%.
Yeah, I think most people were without because Leicester done everything that they could.
I know.
I thought Leicester were done as well, like, but they pulled it out last
Did
game
Mina
of the
bite
season.
somebody?
Did what?
Did he bite somebody?
Mina?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Was it a bite or a nip? Because
he was
more
covered. Yeah, there was a few.
Yeah.
He does it every game. Who was it? Who did they play? They played the other week, and they were complaining because they took pictures of him with his shirt off, and he was literally covered in scratches and marks and
Nips
all
and
over him. Off.
I kind of wish
Mina?
we'd let Leicester win, you know. And they would have stayed up.
would you still got Champions League?
Well,
though?
we would have done it with that point, wouldn't we? So against Chelsea. But no, I'm just joking. But yeah.
Would have been a bit more tense, like.
Are you happy that Luton's come up?
Probably.
It's like watching that game
I
again.
probably wanted Coventry to come up, but I wasn't particularly bothered either way.
I think it's a wonderful story. Like, it's a wonderful footballing story. That from the conference all the way up, and there's that one player.
It would have been either way, even with Coventry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair,
Coventry
and
were the
I
same.
do like. Listen, I agree with that. I do. You think that lad who plays for Luton, who's been with them since the conference, is now every single division?
They've released them this week.
Oh, you joke? No, no.
They've got to keep him on.
We'll get him instead of Dummett, just to give him the chance. But I know that's an amazing story. That and listen, who knows what's going to happen in the future? But it's nice. Oh, it's nice.
And if you just go on Twitter as well, every other post that you'll see is Luton's entrance to the away fans as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, every other post, I'm sick of seeing it.
Yeah.
This is somebody's back garden.
Yeah. It's just, I know it's happening.
Well, no,
They're building a new stadium, but it'll not be.
It is an absolutely terrible ground. Like,
it is.
It's going to be like 1,200 seats for away fans or something daft like that.
It's tiny.
That'll all go to corporate.
They're going to have to make that as the absolute
1 billion points.
Because they'll probably not win away from home much, so they've got to make that a fortress and a half, haven't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, good luck them. Good luck them.
Right, well, we'll end it there, boys. Thanks everybody for joining us this evening. Like the video, means a lot to us. There is over 200 of you watching live, so just like the video. If you haven't done so yet, become a subscriber. It helps us out massively going forward with the channel. And if you want to give an extra bit back, like you can see many of the people are members of the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. It is just $2.99 a month to join that one, and you get extra content, early access to videos, and you will also be a part of the Telegram group. What are you laughing at there?
Well, you see that there? How it says UK condemns Uganda.
Do you think it said condoms?
Condoms, yeah.
Oh,
as soon as I
God.
see what UK condoms, what the hell is this about?
Brexit blobs.
Honestly, that's what I thought it was.
We'll
UK
end
condoms.
another that one. See you later. Watch what he's doing. Ta-ra.